And we are live. Hello, Podfeet. Hello,
Guess
chat room.
what? I can hear you.
You can hear me. Interesting. How did that? Okay, well, that's one piece of the puzzle. I still don't
Maybe
see
I should try Hindenburg.
I don't see it.
Well, I've got it turned off. Let me try it. No, it's not going to be happy, I don't think. Let me try it. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, you're not going to be allowed to see that, but I can hear you.
I would like to confirm that we can hear Hindenburg in Mimo.
Okay, here you go. Here's Hindenburg.
I can. It's a little low, but I can hear it.
Well, that I can't fix right now. Okay, I just had a bunch of fun stuff I had written disappear on me, so I am rewriting it right now because I rebooted and I guess I didn't save that piece. Give me just, can you entertain the audience for a minute or two?
So we visited this. You may want to hear this one, John, and maybe some others who like space, but we visited Johnson Space Center with the grandkids and the kids and had a great time. If for anyone who likes space things, Johnson Space Center is a place to go and see great things. We saw Saturn V laying down on its side. Huge beast. I'm always amazed. I've seen one before at Kennedy Space Center. I think it was Kennedy or Cape Canaveral. I forget which of the two facilities. But it's been many years, and seeing it again renewed my enthusiasm for the rockets. And SLS is back. I think it's back out on the launch pad. No, November 4th. November 4th, I think it goes back. Is that correct, John? For a November 14th launch. Cape Canaveral is the Air Force property on which Kennedy resides. So is that where the museum is, where the Saturn V is kept, John? How's this link? Okay, Cape Canaveral.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. You set?
Yeah, but I need to put these things in a different order. That's how I noticed it was wrong, was because it was not where I expected it to be. It's supposed to be right after the intro. No. Yeah. Can't decide. Can't decide.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that shot. The well-timed shot.
What was it? I didn't see what happened.
Oh, a newscaster. I think it was a newscaster or someone on TV was discussing the. I think it was at the Apollo program. Yeah, it says Saturn V clip. So, and right as he's talking, almost as if on cue, the rocket launches behind him.
I like it. All right. Let me do a little test recording here. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com.
There we go.
What are you laughing at? Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the... I am on the wrong microphone. Record MacBook Pro microphone. No, I think I would like it to be my Elgato mic. That is the wrong microphone. All this time?
Elgato mic?
I was on the wrong mic.
All this time?
I was on the right mic there. I just on the wrong mic in Hindenburg.
Huh.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, and that looks like I'm peaking again.
You're okay over here.
This is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Yeah, I was peaking. Let me bring it. Ooh, no. Oh yeah, I'm way up. There we go. One more time. One more time. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. That looks better. Okay. I think we are ready to get started. Oh, I didn't get a roll call, did I?
No, I don't think I saw one.
Well, no wonder I forgot roll call. Alan? Oh, pre-roll call or roll call. I like it. That's a new one. All right, we've got Seamus and Kevin and Jason and Frank and Mike and Jill and John and Rick and Sandy and Michael West Bay coming in from Japan along with Frank. Anybody hanging out in the sidebar there? Did I say Al? Is Al there?
He definitely was there. He was having trouble.
Yeah,
I think
I
he
don't
went
see
to
him
go.
now.
He went to get a speaker or something
Okay.
to hear with. I just lost you, Allison. Al, I lost you.
Try talking, Steve.
Red, and you're back now.
Your video. Al, you're talking about me.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
back. You went out for about 3 seconds.
And you're frozen in Mimo Live.
Really?
Yep, the whole screen's frozen.
And it says adjusted data rate due to low internet bandwidth. Please reduce frame rate. So that may be at my end.
Steve.
Oh,
Do you know what might be happening?
Yeah.
I'm transferring 18
Terabytes
terabytes of data on my network right now.
Can you pause that?
I don't know if I can. I started transferring the, and I remember thinking, wow, this is great. I don't have anything going on that's going to bother anybody. Where's Safari? Let me see. Let me log into so I started the migration of my my Drobos, or my Synology, sorry. And I think I might have thought of some poor timing to do that. Let's see. Let me log in here. Allison broke the internet. Dismiss. Do not, I want to dismiss that. There is a pause.
Okay. Pause that, baby.
I'm going to pause it. All right. Did it pause? Did press the pause button. There we go, pausing. Now it's actually pausing. So that's a good idea. I don't. Oh, you guys can't see that. So now let's see whether maybe Hindenburg's okay.
I still don't see Hindenburg.
Hang on. Let me bring up the. No, that wasn't it. That was too good to be true. Don't see it now, huh?
No.
Okay. Well, that was worth a shot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But is my video better?
Yeah, your video is fine now. It went completely dead for about 3 seconds.
Right, but you said it was giving you a low bandwidth error.
Yeah, I'm still seeing that, but upload speed, I think it's okay for the show.
All right. Well, let's just. Oh, still fuzzy video. Sandy says. Is there anything we can do about that? You don't suppose it'll self-adjust back to being good?
It might.
Was it
I don't
good
know
for a while, Sandy, and then got fuzzy, or has it been fuzzy all along? It was good before. Oh, Jill says it looks good on YouTube. Well, I'm going to start recording a podcast.
All right.
How about that?
Let's do it.
Okay. See if I can mute Steve. All right. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, October 23rd, 2022, and this is show number 911. Well, last week I announced a new audience participation game I'm calling I'm Still Using It. The idea is for you to write a paragraph or two about some piece of tech, like hardware or software, that's really lasted through the test of time. I'm going to be reading these little stories over the holidays. So if you send in these stories, that's going to help me take a little bit of a break. And I think it's going to be fun to take a break from the new shiny and instead talk about stuff that's really, lasts over a long time and stays useful. Now, I've gotten quite a few submissions already, but I want a lot more. Remember, you don't have to record the audio unless you want to. If you write a lot, though, I might ask you to record because long-form content starts to sound really funny if it's read in the wrong voice. So please send me your stories of tech that's not the new shiny, but you still find useful by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com and make the title "I'm Still Using It." That way it'll sort into the mailbox where I'm collecting all of these stories. And I can't wait to hear your stories of what you're still using. All right. Ooh, we should save, huh?
So I
Did somebody
can't.
say to save?
I'm not going to be able to see if you've
Chapters?
done chapter marks. Ooh. Whoop. And I lost her. I think we got problems.
Oh my God. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear her in the... Wow. Yeah. Is it recording in Mimo? There is a record capability. Hopefully that didn't get turned on. You still there, Al? We may have lost her. I'm going to go check. Hold on, chat room. I will be back.
So that might bring me back in. Okay, stop that. I had that stopped. And it caused, let's see. So Sandy says she can still hear me. So.
But you're not showing up yet.
Yeah, I don't. It's dead. This is a terrible update. I can't hear you, and you can't hear me, and you can't see me. Steve's video is still.
Okay, these are blank. These should be selected.
All right. I should be pulling an NDI stream for that, though, for my video. Okay, guys, we're going through the all the settings again that we just finished setting it up. Me be dead. All right, that should say Logitech 4K Pro, but it's not there as a video source. Failed to start the video preview. My camera's not working.
Let's unplug it and plug it back in.
Okay, go ahead. It's really hard to unplug. Very difficult. Okay, I think that might have done something. You got to put it back in the middle. Okay, so failed to start the video. I may need to restart again. Alistair! Try this again. I guess I'll restart.
Okay.
I just restarted.
Oh, you hadn't heard me here. So Allison is having problems with her system, including her camera now. So she's restarting. She should be back here in a minute or so. Nice sausage, Rick. Heart shape. As soon as she's back, we'll try it again. But this is not going well. What do you mean?
I'm ready to go to StreamYard, Steve. This is ridiculous. We can't have this every week. This is not worth it. Definitely not worth the trouble.
Are you rebooting?
Yes.
All right. We're having trouble with several things today, unfortunately.
I'm out.
Bear with us, chat room. Thanks for your patience. All right, I see your video now. No audio yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I have audio and video.
I hear you through Discord, I presume.
Yeah, I hear you twice, so I think you're there in both places.
All right. Let me open up what I was recording. If I lose this again, I'm out. I'm not. I can't keep doing this because I've I've got a show I've got to record. I love the. Oh God! Now I've got 2 copies of. I've got 2 copies of my recording. Okay, this is great. It did save. I didn't need to rewrite all that stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that one. Better be all. Okay, this one and
So
I'll
I think-
preview. Yes.
Al, I think Alan, I think everyone is hearing us. So if you're not hearing Allison, I think it's at your end. Are you hearing me? I guess. If
Okay,
you're not,
Steve.
would-
You know what? I can't be listening to you guys talk about this. I am going to
Go ahead.
So
Get going.
Get going, huh?
Go ahead.
I had on my to-do list to look at the thing that Mike sent me on how to fix my macro, and I didn't do what I said I was going to do. All right, here we go. This week, our guest on Chit Chat Across the Pond This week, our guest on Chit Chat Across the Pond is Dan Morin. Dan is the author of the Galactic Cold War series of sci-fi espionage capers. He's a former senior editor at Macworld. He's a writer for Six Colors and Tidbits, amongst other publications. And he's a prolific podcaster as co-host of Clockwise and The Rebound. But I didn't have him on the show to talk about any of that. Dan is a very recent father, and I wanted to talk to him about the latest and greatest in baby tech. Now, he's not as techy as you would think on a lot of his choices for baby tech, so I think it's a really fun interview because it's a very good balance of where maybe technology doesn't always solve all of the problems. You can find this episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice as number 747 of the Chit Chat Across the Pond Light podcast with Dan Morin. Oh, you liked it, Mike? Good. Yeah, I was thinking maybe everybody wouldn't want to listen to it because it was baby tech, but it was still really fun. Okay, let's see. This I'm going to do a chapter, but there's going to be no chapter mark. No, there's going to be a chapter mark, but there's no blog post. Okay. Listener Kiwi Graham joins us to give a little bit of feedback on last week's episode. Okay. See if you guys can hear this. Week's episode.
Kiwi Graham here. The thought with regards NosillaCast 909 and your chat about fishing the elderly.
It's a little
With
bit
my
light,
professional
low.
consultant's hat on, I have a significant number of clients over 70 years old. And the main IT advice I give them and their families to help both cope with and protect from diminished cognition is to move to using only an iPad. It has a downside of no ability for me to remote connect when giving them support. But conversely, that is a big...
Yeah, that's where it should be Hindenburg. But since Hindenburg is not, Mimo Live won't send Hindenburg today. When he blanks Hindenburg, he just turns the whole screen red. So
his audio level was a little low. Does that matter?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see.
Al?
Yes.
Oh, you do hear me.
I heard you, and I answered you.
Didn't hear it. What did you say?
Okay.
Parental controls. Cheers.
Thanks for that, Kiwi Graham. That was a really interesting solution to the problem. Using an iPad when making it where they can't possibly get into trouble. And that's actually why Steve's mom didn't get into trouble. Well, she was smart enough to call me. No, I shouldn't say smart enough. She was aware enough of what was going on to call me when she saw that weird thing come up about PayPal on her screen. And so she was on an iPad, so she couldn't have gotten into trouble maybe. But maybe she would have gone over to her Mac had that come up. So that's really, really good advice. And I appreciate the feedback. Okay. Nope. All right, let's see if this will work this way. Link. Nope, of course it doesn't. All right. I'm going to have fun with this one. Okay. I saved and I did a chapter mark, but you're going to have to take my word for it, Kevin. Okay, close that one. Actually, that's not the one I want to do. Move that. I'm going to change the order, Steve. I don't know whether it matters to you, but I'm going to change the order. I want to do Scaniverse first.
Okay.
I meant to put that one first because that one's older, actually. Okay. So now I've got a chapter mark hanging out in the middle of nowhere. If somebody can remind me to put that back in the right place, that would be good.
What are you putting back in the right place?
So I created a chapter mark for the PNG conversion thing, and it's such a pain to make chapter marks that it's sitting out in the middle of nowhere, and I need to remember to move it to the right location. I think I'll remember.
Will that be next?
I won't want to do it
after Scaniverse?
Yeah, I think so. All right, here we go. Well, the hallmark of a good NosillaCast review is that we must start with the problem to be solved. I'm going to stop for a second. I didn't already do Scaniverse, right?
So I thought you did because you posted it so long ago, but I looked through the NosillaCast podcast and I didn't see it. I looked back
that's
to
what
the
I
date,
think too.
to the published date of the blog post.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I think you posted it 2 weeks ago, but
Yeah.
never got it into a podcast.
Okay, with the tiny Steve, yes.
Right.
Okay, muting Steve. The hallmark of a good NosillaCast review is that we must start with the problem to be solved. There's one exception to this hard and fast rule. Sometimes there's something that's just cool and it doesn't solve any problems at all. Oh, no. I know why I remember it. Because I recorded it last week.
You recorded it but didn't put it in the podcast?
That's correct. I cut it.
Oh. Well, maybe you could hear your recording.
Well, no, this is good because we're getting way behind. And this is the reason I remembered reading it. I was like, this is really familiar to me.
Huh.
Oh, and I didn't do a chapter mark for this. I'm doing.
So did everyone hear it that was on the show?
No, I remember last week I did a bunch of pre-recorded audio.
Oh.
And I was like, man, I really remember reading this. Yes, that's actually really good. I know you guys would be thrilled to hear the recording now, but we are getting so far behind. This is actually spectacular news that I already have it pre-recorded. Okay, so let me see how far a gap I did. So that's really, really good advice, and I appreciate the feedback. You all know that the hallmark of an effective NosillaCast review is that we all... See? I knew it!
Yep.
That's pretty funny. I was that close to wasting my time again. The feedback. You all know that the hallmark of an effect... There we go. I don't think I'm going to let you guys listen to it because I need to get moving. All right, so now I can read about converting transparent PNGs. It's going to be a long show, by the way. It's going to be like a 80-minute show, so... chapter mark. How are you keeping up with when I need to do chapter marks? So I'm jumping around here. That's got to be hard. Oh, no, I already have that chapter mark. Where is it? I don't have to recreate it. I just have to go find it. That's the one I left laying around. There we go, right to there. No, I don't know it. Perfect. And nobody can see what I'm doing or understand why I'm talking like this, but let's go ahead and move it there. Okay. All right, now this one. This one's funny. I've had so much fun with this. Here we go. Last month, I told you about a really cool service called the Noun Project, which for a small fee gives you access to thousands of really nice line art icons. I've been enjoying jazzing up my blog posts with Noun Project icons when I don't have a suitable screenshot to keep readers from getting bored and falling asleep. When I wrote the article about the Noun Project, I talked about how I discovered that they have a delightful macOS app. It's been ever so much more efficient now for me to do a quick search for an icon in the app and simply drag it right into my blogging software, Mars Edit, as a PNG, instead of downloading from the website and all that nonsense. So with blog posts, there's a thing called a featured image. You know, when somebody posts a link to a blog post on social media, if it has a featured image, the link will expand to have a nice little excerpt and show the image. Without featured images, most people won't click on links. On occasion, I've been using Noun Project icons from the macOS app as my featured image, and it creates a problem for people who use dark mode on Twitter and other apps. Alert NosillaCast Wade David Sheneman, also known as TV Wonder on Twitter, sent me a screenshot of what a recent post looks like to him. With a nearly black background in his app, he can easily read the white text of my post, along with quite legible baby blue text for the link. But below that is a very dark gray square with a black icon on top of it. It looks really bad, and it's nearly impossible to tell what it's supposed to be. Using the Noun Project's macOS app, I've been choosing PNGs to drag into my articles, and the only option in the app is to have a transparent background in the PNG. but a transparent background on a PNG picks up the blacks or dark gray of dark mode for people like David. I wrote to the Noun project asking them if I was maybe just missing an option to get a non-transparent PNG in the app, and they thanked me for my interest and feedback, but said that wasn't an implemented feature at this time. Now, I could go back to using the Noun Project website instead of the app, since it does give you the option of a transparent PNG or one with a background color of your choosing. Now, for my diagrams, transparent PNGs are ideal because the connecting lines can attach right to the graphics. If I use PNGs with a background, even a white background, then the lines connect to the edge of the background, and it doesn't look good. I don't like the way that looks. So I've got several solution paths here. The first one is pretty easy. I could use the Noun Project website when I'm doing images for blog posts, and then the apps when I'm making a diagram. Or I could keep using the app, download the image, and convert it to have an opaque background. The transparent background of a PNG is created using the alpha channel. This is a channel that adds a percentage of opacity to the image. If the alpha channel is set to 0%, the background will be transparent. If it's set to 100%, it's opaque, and you can actually set it to different varying percentages in between. Now, there's a very simple way on a Mac to turn off this alpha channel on a transparent PNG. I could simply open the PNG in Preview, choose File, Export, and then from there you can see the default format will be PNG, and there's a checkbox next to the word alpha. If I simply uncheck that box, hit Export, I will have created an opaque PNG. Well, that sounds easy. It's also tedious. For one thing, File Export is 2 menu picks with a cursor because there's no keystroke for export in Preview. If I don't want to use the web version of the Noun Project, I have 2 choices. For every single PNG I use from the Noun Project web app or the Noun Project app, I can export the PNG to disk, right-click and choose Open in Preview. Since CleanShot is my default PNG editor, I have to right-click and choose Open in Preview, not just double-click. Then use 2 menu clicks to select File and then Export. Then click a checkbox, then hit Enter to export the opaque PNG, and finally drag the PNG into my blogging software. Or another option is I could spend countless hours trying to create an automated process to make opaque images out of my transparent PNGs from the Noun Project app. Which one do you think I chose? All right, I'm going to walk you through all of the options I tried in order to automate this process. I did stick with this until I found a solution, but listen carefully so maybe you can be the one who gets to say, I see your mistake, Allison. You forgot to just do this, or I know an easier way. I'm wide open to somebody finding an easier way than the way I did it. While many might suggest that an Automator workflow could solve this problem, I stopped learning Automator when Apple showed its cards that it wasn't the future of automation on the Mac. The tool that seemed tailor-made for this automation task was Keyboard Maestro. It's modern and it's being kept up to date. So the reason I say Keyboard Maestro would be a good app to do the automation is I know it can open files in a specified app from the Finder. I know it can select menu items. Now, the checkbox might be tricky, but there is a way to teach Keyboard Maestro to identify things on screen, even if the checkbox isn't something easy to select. Keyboard Maestro can also send keystrokes, so hitting Enter to save at the end is trivial. In Keyboard Maestro, I chose an action called Open Finder Selection, and I chose Preview as the application to open the file. I selected a transparent PNG in the Finder, and I ran that automation. The file opened in Preview. Step 1, done. Keyboard Maestro has another action called Select or Show a Menu Item. If you use the little drop-down to choose Preview as the application in question, you'll see another drop-down to choose the exact menu item. I selected Preview, File, Export, ... Now that ... is interesting. I selected a transparent PNG in Finder, and I ran my now 2-step Keyboard Maestro macro, and it worked. The file opens in Preview, and the export menu is chosen from the file menu. I was cooking with gas. All right, now for the tricky bit. Trying to teach Keyboard Maestro what that checkbox looks like and to tell it to click on it when it finds the checkbox. The Keyboard Maestro action is called Click at Found Image. While this process sometimes works, it's very fragile and it tends to fail at a later time for no apparent reason, but I was going to try it one more time. I dragged the Click at Found Image action into the Keyboard Maestro workflow. The next step is you take a screenshot of what you want it to look for, and you drop that into the action. Once the Keyboard Maestro macro finds a match to the image you've given it, you have to tell it where in the image to click. You define the location in the image from a corner or from the center by a number of pixels. With my screenshot open in CleanShot X, I used Pixel Snap from getpixelsnap.com. It's also available in SetApp to measure the distance from the upper left corner to the middle of the checkbox. My macro now says, open the selected Finder item in preview, choose Export from the menus, and click on the checkbox if it can find it. I selected my transparent image again, and I ran the macro, and it failed. As I said, I'm used to found image failing, but that's not what failed. This time, the macro was saying, I can't find that file export menu you were talking about. It identified it before I added a third step, right? I had 2 steps. I had to open it and open that menu item, and it worked. But now that I have a third step, it can't do the second step. The exact error message is macro canceled. Select menu item failed to find target menu bar for file export. All right, so I disabled the click found image step, that third step, and the macro still can't execute that menu selection. I can entirely delete the click on found image action, leaving all of those first 2 steps that worked before, open file in preview and select export, and it still didn't work. I created the macro from scratch again. Now, remember I told you that Keyboard Maestro would allow me to select a menu from an application and it showed the path for preview file export? Well, guess what? The next time I tried to do that exact thing, actually, I think I said it backwards before. Originally, it was file export. Now, Keyboard Maestro says it's not it's not file export, it's file export as. But that's not what the real menu said at the time. So obviously, Keyboard Maestro is getting confused. No worries, I've got another trick up my sleeve. I can add a keystroke to the preview menu using System Preferences keyboard shortcuts. That way, I only needed to tell Keyboard Maestro to type the keystroke, and don't worry, it's pretty little ahead about knowing those menu commands because it's clearly confused. When I went to System Preferences to create an app shortcut for preview, I double-checked, and now the export menu says export as ... just like Keyboard Maestro says it does. So I know you're going to think I hallucinated, that preview changed its menu, but I can prove it. I just happen to have taken a screenshot of it the first time and the second time I checked it, and they're different. Okay, so I created the keyboard shortcut in System Preferences, and I told Keyboard Maestro to type it in to bring up the export menu. When I tried to run the macro, guess what happened? The file opened in preview, and then it beeps at me like I tried to select an option that wasn't available. Now, if I manually type my keystroke, the file export ... menu came right up. Well, if you've never used Keyboard Maestro before, you might think, oh, wow, Allison's making this super complex macro. But this is a trivially simple macro, and yet I could not get it to work. I abandoned that whole path after several hours of fighting with it. So my next idea was, certainly there must be an app to provide this functionality. Somebody's written something that just takes the alpha channel out, right? I searched the web, I looked in SetApp, I looked in the Mac App Store for a solution. I found a handful of apps through the web and through the Mac App Store that were designed to remove that alpha channel, but they were all more than 5 years old. One was on an insecure website, so I avoided that one. One of the ones in the Mac App Store had a review that said the resulting image ended up all black, so I skipped over that one too. I found one that was old, but I didn't see any huge red flags. I downloaded it and I ran it on a test PNG, and the resulting image ended up all black. All right, solution path number 2 was abandoned. Well, over the course of the next day, I kept thinking I must be missing something really obvious in the way Preview and Keyboard Maestros were working together, and I kept trying every angle I could think of without success. I briefly dabbled with using Keyboard Maestro to open the PNGs in Affinity Photo, but Affinity Photo is really slow to open images, and I figured I'd probably run into the same problem anyway. Next, I thought maybe Apple Shortcuts could do the job. I'm not at all skilled in shortcuts, so I started by searching the gallery to see if I could find a starting point. I didn't find anything helpful. I tried searching Matthew Casanelli's vast library of shortcuts, but no joy there either. I gave it my best shot at writing a shortcut from scratch, and I got much farther than I expected. I failed, of course, but I got a lot farther than I expected. I was able to get the selected file in Finder. I was able to save it as a PNG, but it still had the alpha channel. It didn't seem to have a way built in to say, turn off that pesky alpha channel. I tried to mask the image with a rounded rectangle, thinking maybe that would put it underneath it. And then I had to convert the masked image to a PNG, but that whole masking thing didn't do anything. I've never really grokked masking that well, so it was probably the wrong path. I did figure out that instead of converting it from a PNG to a PNG, one with and one without the alpha channel, I could just convert it to a JPEG, and that would eliminate the transparency since the JPEG format doesn't support the alpha channel. Now, I didn't want to use JPEG at first because the files are much bigger than PNGs, but it turns out the icons are so simple that the JPEG only increases the size from 10 kilobytes to 14 kilobytes. I guess I could allow that extra 4 kilobytes to make David happy. I tried my fancy schmancy 3-step shortcut and it worked to simply convert a transparent PNG to an opaque JPEG. I decided to challenge the automation gremlins and I used the details menu to add my shortcut to the services menu. After a bit of faffing about, I can now right-click on a PNG, pull all the way down to Quick Actions, and choose my shortcut, Convert to PNG. Astonishingly, this also worked. Right-clicking on a file and pulling all the way down to 2 menus is almost as hard as removing the alpha channel in Preview. No worries, there's an option to add a keyboard shortcut to shortcuts. Guess what happens when I use my keyboard shortcut? Absolutely nothing. I tried 3 different keystrokes and none of them had caused anything to happen on my Mac. Now, it's incredibly difficult to search the internets for help with shortcuts because you get piles of results about keyboard shortcuts, not the Shortcuts app itself. And what I'm looking for is help with keyboard shortcuts within shortcuts, so I had no help at all of ever finding any answer to my issue. Now, I did find on iDownload blog an article explaining 13 ways to quickly run a shortcut on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. It didn't help me diagnose my problem with the keyboard shortcut, but they explained that you can also tell Siri to run a shortcut. Oops, sorry, I should have said the S Lady. Anyway, I turned S Lady on in Control Center and I clicked on the icon. I said, run Convert to JPEG, which was the name of my little shortcut. She just sat there. I wandered off to do something else. I got distracted, looked at a web page or something. A minute or two later, she loudly pronounced, "That's done!" Sure enough, the shortcut had run. Success, but is it really? Now, I tried Type to Siri, but that's even more work because first I have to launch the S Lady, and then I have to type out this big long name. You might wonder why I don't say, "Hey, S Lady," to invoke it, but you know the answer why I don't do that. It's because my HomePod, iPhone, or iPad will certainly answer long before the Mac version of S Lady realizes that I'm asking her a question on my Mac. Now, another way to invoke shortcuts on the Mac is to add it to the dock, and that does seem to work well. I don't use the dock for launching apps, so it might be tolerable to just have one shortcut in my dock. It still bothered me that the keyboard shortcut method didn't work, so I tried it again, and that time it worked. Come on. Even though this shortcut is intermittently working, I can only seem to get it to save into a specified folder, too. I've been using my delete me folder for testing, but that means every time I run the shortcut, I'd have to go fetch the converted JPEG and move it back to where I have my original PNG. I found an option to get the to get the parent directory of the shortcut input, which sounded promising, but in the save converted image section, though, I can't use the parent directory as a place to save. I did figure out how to make it create a subfolder and delete me, so at least I'd be able to find the files easily after I converted them. It was all working great, but after I came back to it after a dinner break, the keyboard shortcut stopped working again. I honestly do not understand why so many people are wild about shortcuts. Solution path number 3 landed on the abandoned pile with the other 2. Well, I was about to give up after only 3 days of trying to automate this tiny little process when I had an epiphany. I hadn't searched for a way to do it from the command line. About 100 years ago, Bart taught us about a command line tool called Image Magic. He and I both used this image manipulation tool to add watermarks to our most prized images. I used Image Magic to even write an app to add a drop shadow to my images. It's super powerful and used by a lot of people, so you can usually find someone who's written most of what you need, and then you can just tweak it a little bit to get what you want. I found a discussion in Stack Overflow where someone had gave the exact command I needed. After installing ImageMagick on my newly nuked and paved machine using Homebrew, by simply typing brew install ImageMagick from the command line, I followed the instructions. It said convert your input file, then -alpha space off, and then your output file. Guess what? My image came out all black. Well, I scrolled up to the date at the top of the discussion, and it had been posted nearly 8 years ago. I'm starting to think that maybe something changed in the last 5 or so years, and all of those apps I had looked at used this same command. Well, on a lark, I tried running the command again, but I changed -alpha off to alpha on, or I guess -alpha on, and my image was again transparent. I narrowed my Google search to only give me results in the last year. This gave me a slightly different command in ImageMagick. The real answer is to remove the alpha channel, not turn it off. The correct command is then convert your input file -alpha space remove and then your output file. I finally had a working single-line command in the terminal that would remove the transparency of my icons just for David. I had the working engine of a solution, but it's pretty obvious that opening up Terminal and typing a command was far more effort than opening Preview and unchecking a box. I needed to run this via a keystroke. Hey, Steve, I'm going to take a quick break here. Poor Steve. He's bored. Can you look for the sentence that starts with on a lark and it says -alpha off to alpha on? It should say -alpha on.
Got it.
Okay, thank you. And I won't save from this, but I will save that. I don't think I'm going to, let's see. Oh, no, I am. Never mind. Okay. Instead of opening the terminal to run a command, I could create a shell script and embed it inside a Keyboard Maestro macro. My goal was to be able to select a PNG, hit a keystroke, and have my macro remove the alpha channel and save it, adding -no alpha to the end of the name. Took me probably 3 to 4 more hours to get a one-line command to do my bidding inside Keyboard Maestro. Now, you surely think I'm bananas to have spent so much time on such a little problem to be solved, but I love this kind of project because of how much I learned. I learned how to find a file's name and path in Keyboard Maestro. I learned how to assign the name and path to a variable. I even learned how to call a Keyboard Maestro variable name from within a shell script. All you do is prepend it with $kmvar_. That's obvious, right? Anyway, I learned that you can't call libraries from within a Keyboard Maestro shell script without specifying the entire path to the command. So you can't type it just like you do in the terminal. You have to give the full path. When I tried to run the convert command from ImageMagick, it didn't run inside Keyboard Maestro's shell script action. I figured that the Keyboard Maestro shell script didn't know about what libraries I had installed and that it was a path problem, but I didn't know exactly how to specify it in my shell script. After doing a lot of searching for an answer, I finally asked for help in our Programming by Stealth Slack channel at podfeed.com/Slack. Why did I stutter on that? After doing a lot of... Don't do that. How to specify it in my shell script. After doing a lot of searching for an answer, I finally asked for help in our Programming by Stealth Slack channel. I tried really hard to do this on my own without anybody from Slack helping me, but I got the help I needed very quickly. Ben Rose, who is also an astrophysicist, by the way, and then later on Bart, gave me the same answer. They told me to type which convert in the terminal, and that would give me the full path to the convert command. I could then use that full path in my Keyboard Maestro shell script. Once I was using the full path to the convert command, it still didn't work, but I had a new error. It kept saying no such file or directory. I had verified that the script knew the variable name for the file and that it could find the file name using the variable, so no such file or directory was a baffling error. It occurred to me that maybe I had to tell the shell script the full path of the input and output files. That solved the unknown file directory problem. But it still didn't work. The whiny little thing now said that it was a read-only file system. Another trip to the Google suggested that I had forgotten to give Keyboard Maestro full disk access in the Security and Privacy Preferences pane. That solved the final problem in my single-line shell script. See how much I learned? Every bit of that information is portable, so it's now dutifully recorded in Keep It. I keep all the portable knowledge about programming and other things in Keep It, so I don't have to relearn this the next time. Somebody will probably have to remind me that I put it in Keep It, but it's in there somewhere. Finally, I assigned a hotkey combination and I added it to my Stream Deck. So now with a push of a button, I can convert any transparent PNG to remove that pesky alpha channel. The bottom line here is that I had a blast this week trying to figure out how to solve a tiny problem by spending at least 20 hours automating it. I may not be the best programmer in the world, but I make up for my lack of knowledge and skill with dogged persistence. I learned a lot, I succeeded at my goal, and I made David and all the other dark mode people happier, and I had a blast doing it. Now all I need to do is remember to push that button when I use transparent PNGs. Whew.
Yeah, you did need a little extra time.
Yeah, it's 5:51 and the show's not over yet. So, man, I have another segment. I would love to save it till next week, but I think it would work much better if I did it
Schrodinger's
this
camera?
week. No,
Oh,
my
Ron.
interview
You and
with
Ron?
Ron. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, there's no
pre-recorded.
Right, that's
No blog
pre-recorded,
post,
but it's
okay.
going to be a long show as a result. Putting in a chapter mark. You're going to have no clue how many chapters I've put in.
No.
You're going to have to trust me, Steve. Let's see. God, I'd love to save this. But if Bart just posted his Let's Talk podcast, and it's really only 2 subjects, right? I should just do it. Just keep going. You got enough to say, Allison. All right. And this... why isn't that? Oh, maybe I made that mono. Let's see. When I use transparent PNGs.
Did you put a chapter mark in?
When the iPhone 14... Yes, I did. Here, I think I said use transparent PNGs. When the iPhone 14 Pro was announced, I was really kind of confused by the cameras. I knew there were 4 cameras, but there were only 3 lenses. My buddy Ron, who you've been...
It's still working. It's still telling me.
All right, good. All right. Ooh, hour and 3 minutes. Okay. Now I'm going to put a link to Let's Talk.
We should note that you had Ron interviewing there on his birthday.
Yeah, we gave him a glass of wine first.
Yeah.
And then we made him make his own Mai Tai, right?
Well, yeah,
You
later in
helped.
the evening. Yeah.
We gave him presents. I made him a lasagna. All right, I'm going to do a little recording here. If you'd like to hear more on that last topic, I had actually asked Bart a long time ago how the iPhone 13... By the way, you'll notice I forgot to do support the show. Okay. If you'd like to hear more on that last topic, I had actually asked Bart a long time ago how the iPhone 14 Pro has 3 lenses but 4 cameras. We were never able to coordinate our schedules, so coincidentally, he just released a solo episode of Let's Talk Photography where he answers the question. It's a different take on the question and very complimentary to my conversation with Ron. Check out Let's Talk Photography 109 Schrodinger's Camera at lets-talk.ie or find Let's Talk. Dang it. Schrodinger's Camera at Let's... Check out... I'm distracted because the text is all screwed up. Let me figure out why that got messed up. Let's see, it should be that. Hang, hold, please. Hold, please. It's not my fault. It's a bug in the way. Yeah, there we Okay, now I'll be able to check out Let's. Where is it? Come on. Check out Let's Talk Photography number 109, Schrodinger's Camera, at lets-talk.ie, or of course you can find Let's Talk Photography in your podcatcher of choice. That sound right?
So in the
Conversation with
blog
Ron.
post for that,
I'm sorry?
in
hang
your,
on. I'm editing. Sorry, hang on. To my conversation with Ron. Check out Let's Talk Photography. Okay, sorry. What were you trying to say?
you have a reference in there that is not resolving. It must be bad syntax or something in the paragraph you just read.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I said that's not a bug. I didn't screw that up. It's a bug in.
Oh, that's what you were talking. I couldn't tell what you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, though. I appreciate it. Okay. I'm sure you're going to want to listen to this, so you should check out I really get thrown off my game when everything gets messed up. Here we go. I'm sure you're going to want to listen to this episode, so look for Let's Talk Photography number 109, Schrodinger's Camera, at lets-talk.ie, or better yet, just subscribe to Let's Talk Photography in your podcatcher of choice. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me your I'm still using it and anything else you want to say to Allison@podfeet.com. If you have questions or a suggestion, just send it on over. You can follow me on Twitter @podfeet. If you want to join the conversation, you must join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCastaways. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. I didn't
Nice
even
show.
get any time to stop and talk to the audience.
Well done.
Yeah. Check this. Stay subscribed. So I'm just not going to go back and put in a plug.
May not
I
be
just
worth it tonight.
forgot. I'm still listening to it. The Never Missed a Week podcast. Hey, that would be fun. Well, did I miss anything? Oh, chapter marks. Don't forget to move that chapter mark. Thank you, Alistair. I did actually do it. So I'm going to read them off from the top, Steve.
Oh, let me get to
I think I'll have more than you see, but I've
Okay.
got Chit Chat with Dan, the feedback from Kiwi Gariam with no blog post, Scan Your World with Scandiverse, automating conversion of PNGs, Ron Birch, and Let's Talk Photography. So I have 7.
That
6.
sounds right. There was a subsection on I'm still using it, but you probably didn't chapter mark that.
There's no subsection on I'm still using it.
Well, there is in the blog post. Ask for more submissions. I'm still using it.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. Well, I'm exhausted from this particular episode. I think I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. It looks like the audience stuck around, had fun without me, even though I didn't get a play. But I'm let's all talk in Slack tomorrow about everything that's going to go wrong when we add iPadOS 16, shall we? I don't think I'm going to be able to install Ventura, though.
You got too many apps that won't work.
Well, Steve, you're not allowed to install Ventura either.
Oh, I thought I'd try it.
Yeah, why not? What could possibly go wrong? All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Good night.